Alright, what's going on everyone? Today we're going to be upgrading the Grave Secrets starter deck. So if you want to upgrade these, you need to go to your starter decks tab down here. You need to select the deck and then go down here and hit clone, because these decks, you cannot change them. However, cloning it will create a copy here in your My Decks tab, and you can change this however you like. So this deck is interesting. It's a blue-black control deck for starters. It's got removal, it's got a more removal, it's got some card draw, no counter spells, I don't think. But it basically likes to remove stuff, and then it has lots of ways to self-mill. Like this mills, this draws and discards, this mills. And then we, the reason we do that is, well, we don't really have a reason to do that. We do have, these can put spells on top of your library. And I guess the big payoff is we have this huge, massive, crazy spell. It mills 10, and the idea, I think, is that we cast this. It's a huge thing. It mills 10. It returns a creature from each player's graveyard or planeswalker. That's pretty cool. And then we can play this and put it back on top, and then play it again. And then we can play this and put it back on top and play it again. The problem is, well, we only have one copy. We're not gonna mill over it very consistently, and also, like, we're just gonna die. We're gonna mill ourselves out, because remember, we mill ourselves. We mill ourselves here. We mill ourselves here. It mills 2. We're constantly drawing, and we got draw here, draw here. This draws and discards. We're drawing through our deck faster than our opponent is, so this just kills us. This just kills us. It's very strange, but there is a very cool deck we can build with this. A Dimir control, self-mill, play stuff out of our graveyard type of deck, and it's actually really fun. But first, if we want to get there, we have to either click here, or we have to click here. Whichever layout you're in is fine. And we need to change this over to standard, because, well, alchemy is just more powerful, and it's going to be hard to win with a starter deck. Only 3 cards we have to remove, and they're relatively unimpactful. I mean, Rusco's kind of broken, but whatever. So let's start by removing Vesuvian Mist. It bounces a permanent, I guess, and then you can duplicate stuff. It doesn't really matter, because it's an alchemy card. We're going to replace it with Founding the Third Path. This is going to be an important part of our deck, I think. So you play this, cast an instant or sorcery with mana value 1 or 2 from your hand without paying its cost. Its second chapter, it's going to mill 4, and you want to target yourself with that. We're milling ourselves. And then 3 is we get to cast something from our graveyard. So we get to cast something for free from our hand. We mill 4, and then anything in our graveyard we can cast. That's just good card advantage. So we want 2 of these, and we're going to take out 2 of the Vesuvian Mists. And pretty simple. This basically just lets you cast a creature card, which is interesting because we don't have a ton of creatures. We're going to have less creatures when I'm done with this thing. But, like, what creatures are we looking to recast? I guess these? Like, we don't have any exciting creatures to recast. And the best creature in our deck that we can recast is Rona, which has a built-in cast from our graveyard thing anyway. So, yeah, we can just take this out, and we'll replace it with another one of these Founding the Third Paths. All right, next, we're going to make the most unexciting, boring change ever. We're going to take out Rusco. He's very powerful. He's, like, broken in Brawl. I know people always complain. Is he banned in Brawl now? I don't know. I know people are complaining about him. I don't play Brawl. But we're going to take him out for, man, just so boring. We're going to take him out for Consider. 1 mana, Surveil, draw a card. It's so boring. It's going to be so important to have stuff like this in our deck, as you will see. So we'll take out Rusco if I can click things correctly. And yeah, it's unexciting. But now we're in position to actually win games because we're not playing alchemy. Alright, so we have this Phyrexian Espionage. 3 mana. Draws 2. That alone is kind of medium. And then, if it was kicked, so if we pay 5 for it, the opponent discards a card. I mean, it's I don't like it. I don't like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with Invasion of Amonkhet. Why did I just type invasion? Now I gotta look for it. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where are you? You're here. So, Invasion of Amonkhet. 3 mana. Enters the battlefield. Each player mills 3. We want to do that. That's an important part of our strategy. And then, each opponent discards and we draw. Okay, so this draws 2. This technically only draws 1, but it makes them discard without the extra mana. And then, if we can hit this, and we're going to have a very easy way to flip this, it's going to turn into a 4/4 copy of any creature in a graveyard. We're also going to have a great target for that. We need some time, but trust me, it's going to be good. So we will just put this in. For now, we're going to take it out. But if we targeted this, for example, it would be a 4/4 because it's a 4/4 in addition to its other types, right? So if we targeted this, it'd be a 4/4. It'd have all its abilities, so it'd enter with an oil counter and then get +1/+1 for each oil counter. So it'd be a 5/5 flyer. Pretty cool, right? But I don't care about that because we're taking this out eventually. So next we have this Unseal the Necropolis. 3 mana, mill 3, that's cool. Then you can return 2 creatures. So even though we're a mill deck, we're not looking to have a ton of creatures in our graveyard. We'll have some, but having these, I feel like it whiffs too much. It's hard to get both creatures, and I'd rather just take these out for 2 more of these invasions because they're really good. They're really good. Just the draw, we draw, they discard is pretty great. The mill is just gravy. So before we go too much further, we have a rare we can add to this deck. So this is the card I want to take out. It's a 3 mana 0/5 defender. Whenever we cast an instant or sorcery, we can draw a card and discard a card, but it only triggers once per turn. That's fine. The drawing and discarding is fine. It's okay. But I mean, we can play Chrome Host Sea Shark. This is in the what's it in? Well, it's in a blue deck. It's not the blue-white deck. It's the blue-red deck. It is the Arcane Aggression deck. This is in the Arcane Aggression deck, right? Yes, yeah, I think so. And it just fits perfectly. It's a 3 mana 2/4 flyer, great blocker against aggro decks because we're a control deck. We like blockers in the early game. And then it makes an incubator token every time we cast a spell, a non-creature spell, and it incubates X. So if we play a 5 mana Gix command, well, this can make a 5/5. So I'd just rather have this over the Academy wall. We'll take one of those out for our Chrome Host Sea Shark because it's very powerful when we get it for free in one of the other decks. I also want to go up to 3 Ronas. Rona is very powerful, kind of powerful. It's a 4 mana 3/4, which is fine. But whenever we cast an instant or sorcery, each opponent's going to lose 1 life. And that's why I wanted stuff like Consider and more stuff like Consider. We'll get more of it in. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. We can also cast it from the graveyard. We have to discard 2 cards, but we can usually end up just discarding a couple lands. So I want to take out one of these for 1 Rona because it's pretty good in our deck. All right, so now the moment we've been waiting for. I'm going to take out these Trawler Drakes. We already talked about it, but it's 3 mana. It's a 1/1, basically. Whenever we cast a non-creature, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Kind of, it's oil counters, but so basically, it's a 3 mana 1/1, and then after we cast 2 spells, it's a 3 mana 3/3. It's fine. We need to cast, like 3 or 4 spells for it to be really good. And if it goes unanswered, it is very good. But if it gets like hit with a removal spell, it's just really bad. So we're gonna take these out for the card that I just really love, and that is Halo Forager. This is a 3 mana 3/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, we can pay X, and when we do, we can cast an instant or sorcery from our graveyard without paying its cost. Now, it's kind of a weird phrasing because we don't pay the cost of the spell, but we have to pay X to target it, right? But either way, it lets us recast spells. It's very powerful because we can play this and then just replay our removal spell. And then it's a 3-power flyer. It's very good. So we're going to add 2 of these. We're also going to take out 2 of these walls, which it's fine. Just not as powerful as recasting a spell. So you can kind of see what we're doing here, right? We have lots of mill. This mills, this mills, this still mills. We're trying to get stuff in our graveyard. This can then enter and recast our removal spells from the graveyard. And then because this has flying, it very easily hits this, flips it, and if we have one of these in play, or one of these in the graveyard, for example, when this flips, it will trigger the enter the battlefield effect. So like, let's say we have one of these in our graveyard, right? And we flip this, we can target this in our graveyard, because remember we're milling. Opponent doesn't need to kill them. We're going to mill some into our graveyard. So this is going to flip into a 4/4 flyer, and when it flips, which we can do for free if we're hitting it in combat, we can have all of our mana available. It'll flip and then recast one of our removal spells. And that leads us into phase 2, because I keep saying how we can recast removal spells. The problem is, where's our removal spells? Well, let's fix that. We'll fix it by taking out this removal spell. We're taking out this removal spell because it's expensive. It's 3. We care about the price of our removal spells because we want to recast them with this. So we're going to take out Murder for Go for the Throat, which is like in every black control deck ever. Do note, by the way, actually before I even do anything, just note that if you really insist, if for some reason you're like, no, I want to play Murder. Well, at least take it out and replace it with Hero's Downfall. It's 3 mana. This destroys a creature or planeswalker. This only destroys a creature. There's no reason to play Murder, basically, ever. Just play this. But we want cheap stuff, so we're playing Go for the Throat. So we'll take 2 of these out for cheaper removal. We're also going to take this out. So this is 2 mana, gives a creature -2/-2. If we pay 4 mana, it basically kills anything. But 4 mana is a lot. And I just want to take this out for 2 more efficient removal spells, which is Cut Down, which is, once again, played in like every black control deck ever. Destroys a creature with total power toughness 5 or less, which I will take because it's cheap, and we want cheap. Next, we have these Archaeologists. It's a 2 mana 0/3. It mills 3, which is good, but we've added a lot of mill to the deck, so that's fine. And then we can return a non-creature, non-land. It can only be among the milled cards, by the way. So if we mill lands or creatures, we actually have a chance to whiff. And if we whiff, it's a 2 mana 1/4 because it gets a counter, which is not great. So it seems good until we, cast it a couple times, and then it usually ends up being pretty medium. So we're just going to replace it, or at least one of them, with an Infernal Grasp, which destroys a creature, and we lose 2. So it doesn't have the restriction of the non-artifact thing here. We're going to remove the other one with a more reliable spell, which is Tainted Indulgence. It draws 2, and then we have to discard a card unless we have 5 or more different mana values in our graveyard. And, well, not only do we have a lot of different mana values, note that lands count as 0, but also we're milling. So we can fill our graveyard super quick, and this just becomes 2 mana, draw 2, which is pretty good. So we'll take out one of these for one of these. And also, bear in mind, we can recast it with this, right? So that's pretty good. We can cast it with this. So that's the idea. Next, this card. It's cool. It's a card. It's 4 mana 3/4. It returns an instant or sorcery from our graveyard, not to our hand, but to the top of our library. So no card advantage. I'd just rather replace this with a cheap, efficient miller. So we'll take that out for Snooping Newsy, which is a 2 mana 2/2, enters, mills 2. And then if we have 5 or more mana values again, it's going to get +1/+1 and lifelink. So we can play this early at mills, helps us get spells into our graveyard. So next I want to take out this Halo Charged Scab. So this is a part of this whole loop thing with these 2 that it doesn't work as well as I would like. I'm not a fan, so I just want to take out 2 of these. And I want to add 2 more Snooping Newsies. These are just so much more efficient. Mills early, gets big, gets a lifelink, keeps us in the game. Also, by the way, if we have the 5 card thing active, this can flip into a 5/5 with lifelink, so that can be pretty powerful as well. The final Halo Charge Scab, pretty simple here. We're going to take it out for a boring old Consider, just because I want cheap spells. And continuing with cheap spells, we're going to take out a Vohar. So this it taps and draws and discards, and then we can sacrifice it to cast an instant or sorcery from our graveyard. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's as powerful as 1 copy of Tainted Indulgence. We'll keep 1. And lastly, I want to take out 1 island here for 1 Consider. So something I want to explain, we have 1 more change. Actually, let me just make the last change. We're going to take out the Contaminated Aquifer for Waterfront District, which is, this taps for blue-black, enters tapped. This taps for blue-black, enters tapped. But this can be sacrificed to draw a card. So it's just extra utility, and there's no benefit from having this in the deck at all. Great, so let me explain something here, why our deck might look a little weird. So you'll notice we're playing a lot of 2-ofs. We got 1 here, 2, 2, 3. We've got 2 of these, 1 of these, 2 of these. What the heck's going on with that? And the answer is with Founding the Third Path and Halo Forger, recasting stuff from our graveyard, it's really nice to have this smorgasbord of things. So instead of playing 4 Considerers and 1 Tainted Indulgence, or instead of playing 3 Go for the Throats, we have a lot of variety here, so we have a lot of choices when we cast a spell for free from here. It's not free, but when we copy a spell here, and when we cast a spell here, and when we flip this and copy this and cast another spell. That's very important, by the way. We usually want to, if possible, I like to flip this and copy this. But yeah, it's just nice to have lots of options when casting our free stuff, and that's why I just have piles of 2-ofs and 1-ofs and stuff. So that's what's going on there. But that's the deck. I will say that I have a lot of fun playing this deck. And the rares you could add to this deck are just all the planeswalkers, right? We would love Teferi. Liliana is good. Kaido's great. All the planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are great in control decks. We'd probably be taking out, honestly, probably Rhoda. Rhoda's fun, but nowhere near as good as Kaido. right? You could take this out for Kaido for sure. Could take this out. Could probably take Gix's command out, for Teferi here, right? Like you could take out 3, 4, 5 of these, and then get like 2 of these, 3 of these, and you're solid. So yeah, pretty simple. Planeswalkers are what we're like the top end stuff here. Wouldn't be taking out any of the low end spells, but these sort of top end stuff could easily be replaced with like any of these planeswalkers, and that would be totally fine. But yeah, this deck's pretty fun, guys. I like it. So give it a try. It's only commons and uncommons. We didn't use any rares. Well, except for this one. But that one's free from another deck. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully that's useful. Let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.